All right. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Heart and Mind series with Dr. Renee Evans. We are really excited to share with you tonight just the topics about mental health and how they affect relationships, maybe some relationships you've been part of that you've seen, maybe in your family and friends. But we want to get down into the nitty gritty of that. So, hi, Dr. Renee.
Hello, Sharonda. Hello, Facebook Live family. So good to be
All
with you,
right.
Sharonda. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, yes. So we do have a few minutes before we actually jump into the interview. We want to give some people some time, get their coffee or tea
Yes,
to get the
yes.
notebooks, whatever type of notes you need to take. I know we've had fun so far. We've had 2 weeks. And I've had some really good feedback about the things people have like gathered, stuff you just don't think about,
Mm.
which I think is cool. So we have people already joining us. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I want to let you know we're using a platform called StreamYard. And so immediately we may not see your name or your comment, but that's okay. Go ahead and comment. Let us know where you're here. Actually, even tell us where you're listening from. Last week we had some people from Canada and India. So, hey, listen, let us know where you're coming from, what questions you may have. When they pop up, we're definitely going to do our best to answer those. And we'll be getting started in just a minute. But I am so excited. Listen, this lady in front of you, she has been a mentor. Oh my God, a friend, man, a reference, many times actually. And in her own right, she's just phenomenal because she studied the very topic we're talking about. She helps people every day. So I'm looking forward to jumping into this and just, learning some more things myself. Listen, I don't do anything that I don't feel like I actually can benefit from. So that's another reason why we're here. Yeah, yeah. So tell me, was your week really good, Dr.
It was.
Renee? Was your
It's been a
okay?
real
Good.
good week, Sharonda. And let me just say
Mhm.
thank you again for having me. I'm so excited to
Yes.
be here with you, to be able to be here with you in this platform. And as a dear friend, as someone, I feel the same about
Mhm.
you. And so just near and dear. And, we've had some really wonderful conversations about these very topics,
Yes,
and
we
so
have.
it's really nice to be able to have another conversation with you and the
Yeah.
rest of the world in this setting, in this
Yes.
platform. So, yes,
Yes.
but to answer your question, it was a great week.
Uh-huh.
With COVID and everything going on, I was telling you before we went live that some colleagues meaning fellow therapists and I, refer to these
Uh-huh.
days, COVID weeks. And so
Okay.
because of that, people are dealing with a lot. And so, the weeks
Right.
can be long, they can be hard, but overall it's been great.
Right.
This is a really good way to kind of wrap up my Thursday and go into the end of the week.
All right. Also, well, we're happy to be a part of your week. We're happy to be a part of your Thursday evening or
Yes.
morning, wherever you're looking at this from. We're welcoming you, welcoming you. And so it is now time to get started. It's 8:01. I want to respect Dr. Renee's time and your time out there. Once again, I just want to welcome you. It's called the Heart and Mind series. This is Mental Health Awareness Month. And so it is important to know your mental health. Is it good? Is it bad? We all have it. So we need to know what state it's in. Just like we want to know our physical health, we want to know our spiritual health, emotional health. All of that is important to know because when you know better, you can do better. I mean, you have that opportunity, and that's why we're here. And we do know relationships are the big thing, right? It definitely affects our communities, our own personal lives and families. So that's why we're here. My name is Sharonda Green Christopher. I am a dream encourager. I am the dream encourager that helps women to fulfill their dreams in life and love on and offline through encouragement, through empowerment, and through education. And so I hope this encourages someone and empowers you to be better and educates you on the topic tonight. But no more about me right now. This is going to be about Dr. Renee. Like I said, mentor, colleague, friend, just amazing woman. If you know Dr. Renee, you have been blessed. And that is no fluff, that is no joke. You know that I'm telling the truth. And so we are really fortunate to have her here. And I'm not going to speak anymore. Dr. Renee, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you chose this field to be in.
Yes. Thank you so much again. And listen, I'm excited to know that other people are excited about the field of mental health and about our mental health
Yeah.
status. For
Yes.
so many years, for so long, Sharonda, it has taken really a long time for other people to get excited about this topic. And you're right, all of
Yes.
us go through something at some point. It is not always a shiny, bubbly day. And we have to know how to deal and focus and cope. And a lot of times we're dealing with a lot of mental health issues. So thank you so much for recognizing Mental Health Awareness Month on Heart and Mind. I'm really excited about that. But just a little bit about myself. I am joining you tonight from
Yeah.
Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm originally a North Carolinian,
Okay.
have lived in various
Mm-hmm.
parts of the state. And it's to me, out of all the places I've been, it's one of the most beautiful states you can ever, live in
Mm-hmm.
because you have access to the mountains, you have access to the ocean, and then you can get
Yes.
up and down 95 and in and out west and that kind of thing with
That's
no
right.
problem. In terms of background, educational background, my bachelor's
Mm-hmm.
degree is from Appalachian State University. Woo woo, go
Let's go,
Mountaineers!
Mountaineers. Go app.
Go out. And so from Appalachian State, my BS is in psychology, specializing in children and rehabilitation. And my master's degree is in what we would call now clinical mental health counseling, and had a specialization with
Okay.
children, but I work with everyone. And then I also
Okay.
have a school counseling license, and my
Okay.
doctorate is in counseling. The cool thing about my doctoral degree as well as my master's degree is that they both were emphasized, they had an emphasis area of multiculturalism. So this thing that we're now
Okay.
talking about as it relates to diversity and inclusion and all these things, these are things
Yes.
that we were trained in a very long time ago. And so we just naturally
Right.
integrate that into who we are as professionals and that kind of thing. And so that's who
Yeah.
I am in a nutshell. I've been doing this work, Sharonda,
Mm-hmm.
and for about 20 years. Can't
Wow.
believe it.
Wow.
I cannot believe that. Yeah, and I've worked in the school setting as a
Okay.
school counselor, utilizing that school degree. I've worked in the clinical setting using that
Uh-huh.
clinical background. I've also worked in EAP setting, and employee assistance is pretty much
Mm-hmm.
corporate counseling, where you're providing counseling services to individuals and companies and organizations. And then, of
Yes.
course,
Yes.
in the private practice setting, which I'm in currently.
Okay, excellent. I just want to go ahead and point out that Latasha says go app. So yes.
Thank
Absolutely.
you,
Thank
Tasha.
you for joining us. Absolutely. Yeah, so
Awesome.
20 years, right? So
Long
in
time.
20 years, is there something that you've noticed in the mental health, field that may keep popping up, especially as it relates to relationships, the mind, anything that sticks out to you in that time?
Yeah, there's a couple of things. So,
Okay.
one is pathology. So there's this
Okay.
assumption that when individuals, for example, are going through difficult times in their relationship, that
Mm-hmm.
or they're breaking up in a relationship, that
Mm-hmm.
automatically that means that the other person has some level of pathology. And when I say pathology, everyone, I mean a diagnosed
Okay.
mental health issue,
Okay.
such as
Okay.
bipolar, clinical
Yeah.
depression, schizophrenia,
Yeah.
those kinds of things. And so, and there's nothing wrong with having a diagnosed mental health disorder. What we're talking
Right.
about is when we're not managing it and when it
Yeah.
consumes us is what we're talking about. And so that's why
Yes.
it's important for us to talk about mental health awareness, because we're trying
Yes.
to bring awareness to it, to say this is real. Folks are dealing with this. Folks are trying their best to manage,
Yeah.
but people are also coping as well. And when people don't cope, sometimes it does come out in the form of chaos in the relationship. So we
Yes.
have that side of things, but then there's
Okay.
this other piece that when we are going through something in a relationship, things are chaotic, maybe we're
Mm-hmm.
acting out of order. When I say out of order, I mean out of sorts based on how we know our partner to be. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Okay.
Things are
Yes.
different, significantly
Yeah.
different. I'm not talking about, oh, you forgot to pay the light bill or something this month that where
Right.
normally you do, because you've been so busy. I'm
Right.
saying when you're completely acting out of order,
Yes.
sometimes we will automatically say, oh, there must be some type of pathology. Sometimes it
Yes.
is, but
Yes.
sometimes it is
Okay.
not. Sometimes there's a breakdown in the relationship, Sharonda.
Okay.
What I
Okay.
have
Okay.
found, the second part of this is what I have found to be one of the key breakdowns in relationships is
Uh-huh.
communication, lack of effective communication.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
That's not an identified mental health disorder. It is something that happens, and it is something that I
Yeah.
have continuously seen in couples and families. And when I'm talking about
Yes.
relationships, we're talking about could be personal, intimate relationships between spouse and spouse or partner and partner, but it also could be relationships as it relates to parent child. It could be friendship.
Okay.
It could be different types of
Mhm.
relationships. But the biggest thing,
Yes.
the biggest breakdown that I see in relationships over the years that
Mhm.
I've been doing this work has been the lack of effective communication.
Yes. Why do you think that is? I mean, because honestly, when everybody talks about relationships, communication definitely comes up.
Yeah,
Talking about mental health, communication comes up. But why do you think
yeah.
we're so poor at effectively
Mhm.
doing it? It's something we have to
Right,
do every day.
right. So let me tell you this. Iyanla Van Zant said years ago, I read it
Mm-hmm.
in one of her books, that we should
Mm-hmm.
never go into a relationship 50-50. She says we
Okay.
should always go into a relationship 100-100. In this
Yeah.
country, we're
Yeah.
taught to go in relationships 50-50, right?
Yeah.
What
Yes.
Iyanla says is that when we do that, it's a setup for failure. Because a lot
Okay.
of times we go into
Absolutely.
the relationship half full or half empty, however you want to look at that. And we
Yes.
expect the other person to fulfill the other half of us. But the
Yes.
problem is it's a setup for failure because we have to remember that we are not Mr. and Mrs. Cleo's. We can't read each other's mind. We don't
Right.
know what
Right.
each other need. And so
Right.
what she says is that we should go into a relationship as best as we can 100-100. Now,
Yes.
listen,
Yes.
that is not to say that we're going to be perfect all the time. 100-100
Right.
doesn't mean you're going to be perfect all the time. A
Right.
relationship is work. Will Smith talked about the relationship being like a job between he and
Okay.
it, talking about his and Jada's relationship, right? And so
Yes.
it is a job. You want to
Hmm.
get to a point though, where it's a job that you don't mind doing. You know what I
Right.
mean? You want to get to a
Right.
point where you understand that there are going to be difficult days. There are going to be
Hmm.
difficult times. You're going to get on each other's nerves.
Yes.
There's no way you can spend this much time with someone in a personal, intimate relationship as parent and child, or even
Right.
as friends,
Right.
close friends,
Right.
and not have disagreements at times. But what you have to do is you have to figure out the best way to be able to manage and cope
Yes.
and move about during that process. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, in our culture,
Hmm.
the African American culture, but also in the American culture, the westernized culture, we
Okay.
don't do a good job of training and explaining to one another about how to effectively communicate.
Right. Right.
And so, what that means is we fail to tell the person when we're going in 50-50 what it is we need.
Mm,
They
yeah.
don't know what we need if we don't share it. But
Yes.
then the other side of that coin, Sharonda, is we have to know how to, when we tell someone what we need, I
Yes.
can't speak to my spouse or my partner as if they're 3 years old. I have to
Mm,
meet him. For me,
yeah.
it's a him. I would have to meet him where he is. I have to
Right.
meet him as
Right.
the adult he is, and I have to
Mm,
explain to him, what it is I need and how I need that to show up or come about. Now,
okay.
sometimes the other piece of that, so there's a few pieces to the coin. I've talked about one
Yeah.
piece, another piece, well, there's could be third pieces, there's sides and everything that is going, but
Right.
the other piece of that is we have to identify what's realistic and what's doable.
Okay.
When we go into a relationship, Sharonda, we're coming in as individuals, right?
Yes.
And then we become a unit, whether that's a unit, whether that's a married unit, or whether it's a partnership unit. It doesn't matter. But
Right.
when you're in a committed relationship with someone, and especially if you're living together, sharing personal small space with each other, and
Right.
you have to make sure that you know who you are within yourself.
Yes.
You have to be
Yes.
real clear about how you're showing up, how
Yes.
you're presenting yourself every day. When you
Yes.
come down those stairs, down that hallway, how do you show up in the relationship? What does that look like?
Mm,
And
right.
how
Right.
fulfilled are you? And are you expecting that person on the other side of the counter to fulfill your day for you? Is
Mm,
that fair to that person?
right. Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? So
I do.
there's some work that we have to do when we really are wanting to be truly in a worthwhile
Yeah.
Not perfect, but a worthwhile, genuine relationship. Because let me tell you, when you can really, I tell clients all the time, couples, when I'm working, doing marital counseling and relationship counseling, I
Yes.
challenge them. I ask them, I says, when is the last time have you been intimate
Mm-hmm.
without being intimate in the bedroom?
Right.
And they'll
Right.
say, wait, well, is there
Right.
such thing?
Like, how you do that?
Absolutely it is. Have you ever truly been intimate while sitting beside each other on the couch or while looking at each other, giving each other the eye across the room? How do you do that?
Mm,
You know what I mean? What does that look like for you? There is nothing
right.
greater than being in a relationship where there's that level of intimacy.
Yes.
You
Yes.
can be intimate with one another without ever taking it to
Mhm.
another level, to the bedroom. We're going to
Yes.
keep it, but
Yeah.
you can be intimate with one another and be in partnership and in
Yeah.
relationship with one another. But
Yes.
part of that key is about effective communication.
Mm, yes.
Yeah.
That's so good. That's so good. So, what I might have heard is that a big misconception is that we think we can come in half full, and the other person completes us. So we assume they know what
Mhm.
we need and we don't say it. And then when the relationship breaks down, it begins to give issue to the relationship, but then it also affects us because now we're feeling
Right.
like you're not making me
We're feeling
happy,
rejected.
or
We're feeling abandoned. We're feeling
yes,
unheard. All of these things.
yes, yes. And those definitely affect our mental health because we're putting uh the wrong assumptions out there
Mhm.
and just not
Right.
communicating, hey, I feel abandoned, and then give the person a opportunity to say, I didn't know you needed, you know.
Right. Right,
Okay,
exactly.
that's really
Right,
good.
exactly. There's so many times where I'll have couples to share. Well, I say, well, well, let's share it now. Let's share it in here. Well, I can't share that. Okay, well, this is a safe space. Let's share that in
Right,
here. And then when
right,
they share it, the spouse will say, the partner will say, well, I didn't know you felt that way.
right, right,
I didn't know you felt that way. And so then I say, well, why didn't she or he know that you felt that way? Well, because I
right,
never felt safe to share that. You know what I
right,
mean? And
right.
sometimes we have unfair expectations. Sometimes
Yeah.
we set ourselves up and we set our partners up. And we
Mm-hmm.
have to be willing to have the hard conversations. And this is the thing. I've had people tell me, well, if I'm not married, we shouldn't be having conversations about children. We shouldn't be having conversations about finances. We shouldn't be having conversations about geographic locations well, when are you supposed to have these conversations?
Please don't wait. Please don't wait.
Right. It's like, we don't have these conversations once you say I do.
Right. Ooh,
how do you say I do and you don't know where you're all supposed to live, because
yeah,
you might be in
exactly.
one location and the other one's. So when are we having these conversations? You know,
Right.
um, Sometimes we're afraid to have hard conversations. Sometimes we're
Yeah.
also afraid, Rhonda, because of what it's going to do in here. So,
Mm.
so there's a thing where we will sometimes when it comes to communicating, we remain cerebral. There are a lot of
Okay.
cerebral people operate from the brain and the brain only. They don't want to feel.
Mm.
They don't want
Mm.
to feel
Mm.
anything. And there's a
Right.
difference between saying I think and saying
Yes.
I feel. I feel excited,
Yes.
loved, cared, supported, abandoned, rejected,
Yes.
unheard. There's a
Yes.
difference between the two. And sometimes we don't want to go there in terms of
Mhm.
communication because it's going to take us here.
Right. That is so huge. That is
Yeah,
so huge. I never, the way that you put it, we're cerebral because we don't want to feel. And we're talking about the heart and mind, and that's the way to make it healthy. That is such a good point. And I know plenty of people like that. Like it's one way or the other. They'll
yeah,
think about it and want to say it, don't want to feel it might hurt, it might be too much, it might be too sappy, too vulnerable, or there's some that just only feel and they don't think either, not using wisdom. Oh my gosh,
right,
that's really
right.
good.
And what about so part of communication is when we shut down. So we have a lot of
Mm,
individuals we know will shut
mm,
down. I talk to a lot of couples who say, he'll shut
yeah.
down or she'll shut down. And then sometimes, people take it to the extreme. They're
Hmm.
not shutting down for 30 minutes or an hour, and giving each other a break. They're shutting down. I had a couple tell me recently that the other person shut down, the female shut down on him for 3 months. in the same home,
Oh
not
yeah.
communicating. How does that happen? You know what I mean? 3 months in the same space. How does that happen? Where you
Oh
shut
yeah.
down and you go into the
Oh yeah.
shell and there's no
Yeah.
communication. There's no hey, there's no
Right.
bye.
Yeah.
There's no
Yeah.
there's no
Right.
kind of exchange or interaction. How do you do
Yeah.
dinner? How do you know what
Yeah.
I mean? I mean, there's none of that happening. And so what
Right.
happens when so when someone shuts down, that's also a type of communication.
It is.
But
It
what we have
is.
to
It
do
is.
is when we find that we're being impacted emotionally, we have to first go within ourselves and say, wait a minute, is this our stuff? Is this my stuff coming up? Like, is this something from when I was 10
Mm.
years old? Is this something from when, like when my mom left or my dad left? Is this something when my first boyfriend treated me a certain way?
Right.
Is this something
Right.
going on within me?
Right.
We have to do that assessment first. Is this my stuff? Because if it's my
Right.
stuff, it's not fair for me to transfer my stuff onto my partner.
Yes. Yes.
I have
Yes.
to work
You-
through that.
Right, right. So what if you don't know? What if you don't know it's your stuff? You know what I'm saying? Like you just feel like you need to shut down. You don't have the skill
Right.
to say, I don't want to hurt when I talk about this. I don't really want to open up, but I know we're not working.
Hmm.
What's the first step? Like, what do you do?
Right.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying? What
Right.
what happens for that person who their go-to is to shut down, the stonewall the person and not recognize, but they know it's not making the relationship work. What?
Right. Right. So, when we shut down, that's a defense mechanism. It's a natural
Mm,
human defense mechanism. It's a way for those of us who like to shut down. It's a way for us to protect ourselves. We're protecting now our heart and our mind. We're protecting everything. I'm
okay.
gonna just put a wall up, and I'm not gonna let you in. I'm just gonna protect all of me until I can collect myself and figure out how I can get my energy back so I can deal with you. The first step to that, Sharonda, is awareness. We have to
Mm-hmm.
be aware that this is what we do.
Yeah, that's right.
If you're
That's
not
right.
even willing to be aware and acknowledge this is what you do and how it impacts others, because sometimes
Yeah.
people will say, well, I walked away. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
say anything. So
Mm-hmm.
why wasn't that good enough? Well, it wasn't good
Right.
enough. You got a person, you didn't just walk away, you shut down. And you've got a
Mm-hmm.
person over here in left field waiting on you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's not fair for you to shut down for an hour, 3 hours, 7 hours, 3 months. And then you're supposed to circle back around and come back smiling, and they're supposed to just welcome you in with open arms as if nothing ever
Yeah.
happened. That's
Right.
called
Right.
denial, and that's called being unrealistic. That's not how we are wired as human
Mm,
beings.
right.
It's also
Right.
called mistreatment. It's
Right.
called mistreatment and it's called inconsideration.
Yes. Yes, it
You know what I
is.
mean?
Wow.
So
I do.
awareness is the first step. Yeah, awareness is the first
Okay.
step. And if you have a spouse or a partner who is saying,
Okay.
honey, this is
Okay.
what you
Okay.
do. This is what you do. This is what I'm seeing. This is what I'm observing. It may be good to
Mm-hmm.
listen.
Mm-hmm.
It may be good to listen. Now, you listen. Again, you want to listen to those people who mean you well. And
Yeah.
hopefully it's a fairly healthy relationship. And if you've got
Right.
somebody who's trying to emotionally manipulate, that's a real word, a real
Yeah.
term, emotionally manipulate. If you've got
Wow.
somebody who's trying to emotionally manipulate you, trying to divert you, trying to low key, as the young people say,
Yeah.
low key or undertone,
Right.
control you, then you want to be
Right.
mindful of that. But if you've got someone who is going to have your back and your best interest at heart, you may want to listen to
Yes. Yes.
hear that, because awareness is the first key. I can't address an issue that I'm not aware that I have.
Exactly. Exactly. That's really good. So, wow. So that's why I'm so thankful that you're here because I know somebody out there you're listening right now, and it might be your natural response to shut down. It really
Mm-hmm.
may be okay. I can't. You know that saying. I can't.
I
So
can't right now. I
and
can't
it's
right now.
right. So I think maybe it's okay for a minute or so or whatever that you and your partner have discussed. But if you're finding that you can't for days and weeks and months, um, we're here to bring awareness.
Mm-hmm.
That's not healthy. And as Dr. Renee said, there may be something else that's going on. So we want to handle that. You know what I'm saying? And that's why she's here. She's going to share with you how to reach out to her and what to do. I'm sure your load is big, but we need the help, and I'll share the programs and things that I have that can also assist. But let's be aware. I mean, it's not always the other person. If we find we're always in a relationship where things are happening, and you
Yes,
can correct me, Dr. Renee, but they say sometimes you're the constant while other people's are the variables. So you need
yes,
to maybe
yes.
just become aware something's going wrong. I'm not handling this well, and why.
That's right. That's right. Sometimes we see
I definitely
patterns.
appreciate that. Oh
Yeah,
wow.
yeah. Sometimes we
Yeah.
see patterns. And listen, we know ourselves better than anybody
Mm-hmm.
know us. I had a good friend of mine who said to me one
Mm-hmm.
time, she said, listen, she says,
Mm-hmm.
I was in a bad relationship. I knew it was bad when I went in it. She said, and it didn't take me long to get out. And so she said, I
Right.
was 100% aware. She said, but I owned
Right.
every aspect of it. I owned it. I came out of it. And she said, I knew it was bad when I went in it. As
Yeah.
long as you know what you're doing and as long as you have an awareness and not lying to yourself, because listen, it's
Mm,
not about you or me. It's not about
right.
trying to do something to prove to us that
Right.
you're okay, you're good, it's a great
Yeah.
relationship. It's not about
Yeah.
that. It's about you. And so
Yes.
it was powerful what she said to
Yes.
me, because she
Yeah.
said, she says, I owned it. And as
Yes.
long as you're aware and know what you're getting into, then you're
Yes.
good.
Yes.
Because
That's true.
you know what you're dealing with. But when we lie to
Yeah.
ourselves, listen,
Mm,
if you can't be honest with yourself, then you can never ever be honest with anybody. If you can't
true.
trust you to take care of you, then you can never expect anyone to take care of you.
Exactly. Exactly.
I got
Now that's
I
real.
gotta have my own back, right?
Right. Right. That's real. If you can't, somebody hashtag that. If you can't be real with yourself.
Right, right. If you cannot trust you to take care
Woo.
of you, then you cannot expect anyone else to take care of you. If I'm not
Do
willing
it.
to invest in myself, if I'm not
Mm-hmm.
willing to pour into myself to
Mm-hmm.
make sure
Mm-hmm.
I'm good, to make sure I'm okay, this is not about being selfish. That's not what we're talking about.
Right.
We're talking
Right.
about genuinely practicing self-care, intentional self-care, where
Yes.
I'm pouring
Yes.
into me so that I can be a
Yes.
better me in my relationship, to my
Yes.
children, to my
Yes.
community, to my
Yes.
workspace,
Yes.
to my family.
Right.
That's important. And
Yes.
we're still talking about mental health and relationships, and we're still talking about effective
Absolutely.
communication, because check this
Absolutely.
out.
Absolutely.
If you are lying to yourself, you're not effectively communicating with you anyway.
Exactly. You're definitely going to have some mental health issues if
Right,
you lie to
right. There's a lot
yourself.
going
And
on. There's a lot
it
going
is.
on in the
Yeah.
mind
Yeah.
and in the heart. When you're
Yeah.
holding all that in and trying to deal with all that and
Yeah.
trying to manage, but not being honest with self,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
that will make you look like you have pathology when you do not.
It does. It does. It does. And it reminds me of the Bible verse when it says, "And the truth, you'll know the truth, and the truth shall set you free." And believe it or not, I believe there's a true principle to that, because sometimes we have set the stage and worn a mask so long that we
Mhm.
don't know that we're lying anymore, because we played the part so
Oh my,
well,
oh
so
my goodness.
long. We forget that that was a lie in the beginning. We begin to own it.
Yeah.
So when we have to say, okay, let's go back. Is this even really me? Is this authentic at all?
Mhm.
Then we really can be freed up.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah. So I know I've learned a lot from my own personal experiences. Like, was this even really ever what I wanted? Is this ever what I thought? Was this me? And you have to kind of step back to get there sometimes. So yeah,
Yeah.
and once you get there, you're like, oh, to be authentic is to be free. Like, oh, I get it.
Listen, to be authentic is to be liberated from
Yes,
inside
it
out.
is. Yes, it
From
is. Yes,
inside
it
out.
is. Yeah.
There's no
It is.
greater feeling. There's no greater feeling. There's no greater truth.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? And so
That's right.
it's a powerful thing. And so that's
It is.
powerful what you said, just that
Yeah. Yes.
authenticity. And
Yes.
also you're absolutely right. Sometimes we wear that facade for so long that when we
Right.
present ourselves every day, we are
Yes.
presenting that mask. If we are not
Yeah.
who we don't sometimes know who
Yeah.
we are, you
Right.
know?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
we
If you
lose
practice
we
something
lose ourselves.
we yes, 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 yes. And if you're just joining us, wow, we have literally been uncovering some really good stuff about mental health and relationships with Dr. Renee Evans, and she's been schooling us on pathology, if you do have, if you don't have it, how it looks in a relationship, how it doesn't, how effective communication is so huge, and how our culture to make sure that you have it in a relationship. Different couples are assuming other people know what they want and how you may shut down. But the whole point is let's become aware of how
Mhm.
I love the way you said how we're showing up in a relationship. It's
Yeah.
very easy to point the finger. I've done it many times, but it's a little bit harder to turn that finger back. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
like a little heavy. Got to do some wrist
Yeah, it's a little
something. I
heavy.
don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, yeah,
To point back to your how am I showing up? Where am I going? And so I just want to welcome you here. Thank you so much for being here, Dr. Renee. We're gonna keep it going. I just wanted to let everybody know what we're doing.
yeah.
We'll talk about how to reach her, what kind of resources and new things she has coming up, and I will share some of the programs that I have through Dreams Global and Dreams Divine Dating. So we really do want everyone in a healthy relationship. I mean, why not, right? Why
Why not?
not? It's
Why
what
not?
builds our family.
Why not?
Hmm.
And do you
Yeah,
not deserve it, and are you
yeah,
not worthy?
right, exactly. Oh gosh, let's stay right there real quick. You just opened up worthy. Oh wow, I think we could have a whole segment on that. Honestly, sometimes we do not think we're worthy. That's a mind and a heart thing. Do you
Hmm.
agree?
I
Yeah,
do
like.
agree. I do agree. Yeah, sometimes,
Mm,
and again, we would be surprised how much we show up in our relationships. And so sometimes based on how we were treated by either other partners or even in other
mm,
relationships by our
yeah,
parents,
yeah,
sometimes that very person, whoever
yeah,
that could have been, that very person that we loved, that we cared about, that we thought so
yeah,
much of, sometimes
yes,
those very individuals would be discouraging to us.
yes,
And that has a lifetime impact on us.
it
And
does.
sometimes, as a result, we do not think that we are worthy
Hmm.
of a good relationship. We don't think
Yes,
that we're worthy to have a meaningful relationship with our children, that we're
right,
worthy to have a meaningful relationship with a partner, that we're
right.
worthy of having meaningful relationships in our workspaces and in our family spaces. Sometimes we don't think that we're worthy,
That's
period.
right. True.
And
It's true.
so,
Mm.
again, that's about having that awareness and being able to go
Hmm.
within. But let me just say this,
Hmm.
in order to go within and do that work, Sharonda, we have to be ready to do that work.
Hmm.
That's hard
Yeah.
work.
Yes,
That's
that's
hard
hard.
work.
Yeah,
It's
that
deep.
is.
It's deep.
It is.
It's deep.
Yeah, it is. That's why we need assistance. That's why we need counselors. That's why we need therapists. That's why we need these programs. Because sometimes you can't do it alone. Most times I think you can't do it alone because once again we're looking in like this dark mirror. We're not knowing exactly what we're seeing. Like how would I know that it's would you say emotional manipulation going on? How would I know? I
Mhm.
don't even know that exists. So how could I recognize it? I need somebody's eyes and brain to bring that to my understanding. How do I know that shutting down is actually unhealthy when I feel like I'm protecting myself?
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
so that's amazing. Dia says the healthy relationships that is so by the outside of our relationship with God is the relationship with ourselves. That is huge.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We are
Love that.
worthy of a healthy relationship with self and others. Yeah, that is amazing. And it's really funny when we think about it because even when we're talking about the heart and mind and we're thinking about connecting, the Bible says God told us, love God with all our heart, mind, soul, and strength, right? But love others as we love ourselves. And sometimes we leave ourselves out. But it's
Yes.
ourselves that we're taking into the relationship. So we're not healthy if we're not aware,
Hmm.
we're writing the ticket for it not to
That's
work.
good. Oh wow, that's
So
powerful. That's
so
that's
I
powerful.
I yeah, I appreciate that comment, Dia. That's huge,
Hmm.
huge, huge,
That
huge.
is. That
Woo.
is huge. That is huge.
Right. But let's kind of put a pin right there and say,
Okay.
I want to encourage anybody that's out there and you're even just thinking about being in a relationship. Maybe you're not in one, but you're thinking about it. The best thing to do now is to learn you so that you can love you, and then you can take that learned, loved you into the relationship. That
Mhm.
way, we can have the communication that's necessary. Because I know me, I can tell you me.
Mhm.
I love me, so I know how to accept love for me. I know how to even give it. Yeah, let's not think about the outside at this time or even connecting. Let's connect with ourselves. That's
Mhm.
really
Mhm.
powerful. Both of you, that's huge, huge, huge,
Yeah.
huge. Which kind of
So,
leads me into my next question.
yeah.
Go ahead, please.
No, I was just going to
No.
say, and individuals, yeah. So, what about for those also those individuals who have been in relationships 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and they're realizing, you know what, we've had a breakdown. We've had a
Yeah.
breakdown because the other thing that we have to remember and realize is that we evolve over time. And so,
Yes.
yes, it may be in our core,
Mm.
we
Mm.
are still who we were when we got married, when we,
Yeah.
started in this committed relationship. But it could
Yeah.
be that based on occurrences, situations, things that have happened over
Mm-hmm.
time, that we have
Mm-hmm.
evolved. And we may
Yes.
feel like ourselves that we're not the same person. We may feel like our
Right.
spouses are not the same. And we may
Right.
show up to our spouses as if we're not the same. And I
Right.
just want to say to those individuals, if you've been together that long and you truly are committed to the
Mm-hmm.
relationship, sometimes we've got a foot in and a foot out. So
Mm-hmm.
there's some additional work that has to be done there, therapy, and
Right.
that's the thing that we can address at this time tonight. But I'm saying if
Absolutely.
you're truly committed to one another in those
Right.
relationships,
Yes.
build on, use those years
Mm.
as your strength source in order to be
Mm.
able to manage and get through. And it's okay
Yeah.
to stop and say, okay, I tell my clients, I say, picture yourself being at the coffee, having a coffee table in the center of the room. And so,
Okay.
they're sitting there in front of the coffee table. And you're going to
Mm-hmm.
have a real conversation with each other. And you're going to say, look, what do I
Mm-hmm.
bring? And you're going to lay it
Yes.
all on the table. You're going to lay your joke
Mm-hmm.
cards out. You're going to lay your wild cards out. You're going to lay
Mm-hmm.
everything that you bring into this
Mm-hmm.
relationship
Right.
and lay it out on that coffee table.
Right.
It could be an
Right.
invisible coffee table. That's symbolism, everybody. But you're going to
Right.
lay it out, and you're going
Right.
to.
Right.
If there's some work that needs to be done, you have to commit
Mm-hmm.
to one another. Okay, we're going to do
Mm.
this work, and we're going to start today, or we're going to start tomorrow, or we're going to
Good.
start next week, or whenever the case may be.
Yeah.
And recognize and
Yes.
understand that you can get beyond that stump, because sometimes we get
Mm-hmm.
stuck
Yeah.
when we've been together
Yes.
for a long time. And so I
Mm-hmm.
definitely
Mm-hmm.
want to make sure that I address those individuals as well, because a lot of
Yes.
times I have couples that have come in and they have been married a long time and they're stuck. And
Mm-hmm.
you'd be
Yeah.
surprised how many people
Yes.
use that word. We're stuck.
Right.
And we
Right.
just don't know what to do. We know we're not separated. We love each other,
Right.
but we just don't know
Right.
how to be in a relationship with one another anymore. Our
Right.
communication is not there. We're
Right.
different people. It may be that you've had
Mm-hmm.
children. It may be that you've had a medical issue. It may be that there's been weight gain
Mm-hmm.
and other things.
Mm-hmm.
It could be
Right.
a lot of things. And so it
Yes.
could be finances. It could be a lot happening. But if
Mm.
you're committed
Yeah.
and if you remember why you're together and why you love one another, that's a
Right.
good bit of the battle. That's a good bit of the walk right there. So,
Yeah.
one of your strength sources can be using that coffee table and using the
Yes.
fact that you have been together all these years to be able to guide you and to help move you forward.
Yes. That is amazing. And it puts me in mind of why so many shows are the table, the talk. Like we need it. It's a way to kind of get those things that kind of go over and over and over in our head out so we can line them up. Because I know how to have something go in my head like a million times. By
Right,
the time it gets to that million, I'm like, oh man, I know this. And
right.
it was totally so
That's
I
right.
love that. I love the symbolism. I do. I
Yes,
love the
yes.
symbolism of that
And,
table
and it's
or
what
a real table.
That's right, exactly. And it's what we bring. Not and see
Mm,
a common mistake couples make when we're talking about effective communication. When we're
yes.
beginning to look at what we bring to the table, one of the common
Yes.
things couples do is that they will point out what the other does or doesn't do. It's
Yes.
normal. As normal
And
human, that's just how we are in relationships, right? We'll point
right,
out what the
right,
other person's doing all day long because we ain't doing
right.
nothing wrong.
Of
It's
course,
not about us ever. It's always
you're
about
right.
the other, right?
Of
And so
course.
the things that have to stop, right? One of the things I do is that I stop the individual and say, no, it's about what you bring, because see, what you may believe you bring may be completely different than what the other person thinks they're bringing, or what they may think that you're bringing. And so, but you have to first know what it is you bring. And it is a process, everybody. It's easier said than
Yes.
done. It is a process. And so
Yes.
again, it really does
Hmm.
help when you have someone to help guide you through that process.
Yeah, that's awesome because I mean, you said it earlier, you have to be ready to do the work, and it's hard work. And so if you're going to do the work, you're going to have to start with you. It's just what it is.
Yeah.
And it may seem daunting, but I promise you that is liberating, as we talked about. And it's a continuous work. You're never going
Yeah.
to, I don't think you'll ever arrive. You're going to continue to grow. But once you kind of start it, it'll begin to roll because you'll get revelations and it'll bring
Mm-hmm.
freedom. You'll get another revelation and it'll bring
Mm-hmm.
freedom and understanding. And when you get understanding, you're like, oh my gosh, I get
Yeah.
it.
Yes.
So that's
Yes.
awesome. That's so awesome. Oh man, I only have a few more minutes with you. So let me let me make sure I get some good questions out
Time
there.
flies when you're having fun.
I know. Okay, so you've given a you've given gems all night, but I want to know, what would you do if somebody is about to enter a relationship? What is the best piece of advice that you would say you would want them to consider before entering a relationship?
I know it's going to sound redundant, and I apologize for that, but the best
Hmm.
thing I would say is be mindful of how you're going to show up.
Okay.
Be
Okay.
mindful
Okay.
of what you bring, who
Yeah.
you are,
Okay.
or
Yeah.
what you represent in the
Yes.
relationship. You've got to know that
Yes.
in order to truly be fully present, in order to truly be able
Mm,
to have an authentic, genuine, good, solid relationship.
yeah.
When you know who you are and what you bring
Hmm.
to the table, you
Yeah.
can allow yourself to be able to move about, and you can be more open also to that individual. You know what I
Yeah. That's
mean?
awesome.
You're
I
also
do.
aware of what it is you contributing and what it is the other person's contributing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. Yeah, I agree with that. I definitely agree. If you know how you're going to show up, it gives you like a guiding post on what you would accept. Because if I know I want to show up at 100%, it'll be
Right.
harder to accept. And not the perfect that we talked about, but like I'm
Right.
going to give all of me. I'm going to be whole. It
Mm-hmm.
will be just a little bit harder to accept somebody who's only at 50. You're going to give
Right.
them the grace to grow
Right.
before you enter anything that will entangle you. You know what I mean? But if you are not there and you aren't aware, then it's very easy to accept because we're both. I
That's
get
right.
it. So I
That's right.
agree.
That's
I
right.
agree. That's awesome. That's awesome. Um, so we talked about how mental health can affect relationships, partnerships, friendships, just anything like that. But before we end for the night, I want to know, like, what are some things that people could maybe get in touch with you about? Are there some things that maybe you have going on because they're hearing this and they're like, "Yep, that's me. Oh yeah, I get it. I do need help." Or
Yeah.
what's going on that they can contact you about or just know about?
Yeah. So one of the things I will say is, and I know it's COVID, and a lot of therapists are seeing everybody virtually. And I know some places are beginning to open up, and so they're beginning to see therapists individually more. One of the things I would encourage, and I'm gonna just take me out of it for a minute, Sharonda, and thank you for that. But one of the things I would encourage an individual to do is get in touch with a solid therapist in your area. In the
Hmm.
country, you're not allowed to call yourself a clinical counselor unless you have a clinical license, everybody. So just as a tidbit there. So, for example, if you need to see a licensed clinical
Okay.
counselor to be able to work through the relationship issues, personal issues, whatever the
Mhm.
case may be, then
Mhm.
you want to make sure that you see someone who is licensed. And that might be a licensed clinical social worker, licensed counseling psychologist, licensed clinical mental health counselor.
Mhm.
Some
Mhm.
coaches, some individuals respond well and better to coaches, and there's nothing wrong with that. Some coaches are really awesome and amazing, but you want to
Mhm.
get in with a professional who can help you, guide you, and move you through. And let me also say, just because you're saying a counselor, and especially when we're talking cultural, a lot of times in African American and
Yes.
minority cultures, we think if we see a counselor, that means we're crazy. You're not crazy if you see a counselor. It means that you're about the business of your work. And remember, you
Mm.
owe nothing to anyone. You don't have to explain or share with anyone that you're seeing someone to help guide you and help you be about the business of your personal work, your personal
Mhm.
development. So
Mhm.
that sometimes is a stigma, Sharonda, that we
It is.
have
It is.
regarding mental health care
Mhm.
and seeking
Mhm.
mental health care, right?
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
I just want to make sure I say that. And then the other piece, if folks want to be able to hear more about these kinds of topics and what I'm doing, I have a new show it's a new radio show on WCOM 103.5 called
Mhm.
You're On with DR. And so playing off of
Nice.
Dr. Renee. So you're on with DR. It is a local station here in my area, but we have live streamers. And so feel free to chime in.
Wow.
It's every Monday, 7 to
Okay.
8 p.m. And we're talking about these kinds of
Wow.
things and a host of other things as well.
Wow. Let me find out you have a radio show. Yes. Oh, you will be tuning in. That is amazing.
Please,
Oh my God,
please
it's so
do.
amazing. It's so needed. Guys, that is
Please
so
do.
needed. We need this wisdom. We need this counsel. I
Mhm.
mean, I don't know how to express in words how necessary it is because we don't know what we don't know.
Right.
And until we do. So thank you. That's so awesome. Okay, on with DR. We'll be
Yes,
on with DR.
yes,
That's gonna be
please.
amazing. Thank you for
Thank
sharing
you.
that. Yeah, and
Thank you so
and
much.
and all the beautiful things that are gonna be coming from it. Yes.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Sharonda. And I do have to just get a little tidbit. If I could just
Yes.
be
I
authentic
wanna
for
yes, yes. Oh, okay. I missed that last part. I think my share is going
okay.
in and out, but
Okay.
this is gonna give it to us real.
Yes. Yes. I was just gonna
Mhm.
say, just real briefly, if I could just be authentic for a moment. So part of my tagline
Okay.
is to be better, do better. And when you mentioned that, I thought, oh wow,
Mhm.
this is a God thing that's happening right now. Not only I'm being blessed as well, and that's why I love doing this work because it's a blessing.
Yes.
So the goal of the show is to entertain and inspire through others' lived experiences
Nice.
with the hope to be
Mhm.
better, do better. So when you said that, I thought, okay,
Wow.
Lord, I don't know what you're doing right now, but I wanted to
Yes.
scream. I wanted to scream, but yeah. So you'll hear that a lot. You'll hear that tagline a lot. Be better, do better,
Oh,
because that's
wow.
the goal. The goal. We're not
Yes.
perfect, but I get so
Right.
much also from learning through others, like I'm doing
Yes.
tonight here with you and hearing what your viewers are
Mm.
saying. And so yeah.
Yes.
So thank you.
Wow. Wow. That is amazing. Oh my God. This is the business that I care to do. You know what I'm saying? Using your God-given
Mhm.
gifts to go ahead
Mhm.
and bless the world. I call it your dream, the passion, what you have on the inside that you've been here to do. And when you do it in such a big and courageous way. You see what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
you have people who come and they get blessed every day, but your voice is going to be able to reach others who may not have been able to grace your office, whether virtually or physically. And now they have that radio wave. And that's just, yeah, you want to scream. I want to cry. Like, I think it's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah,
I think it's amazing.
I'm trying not to. I'm
I
trying not to
know.
cry.
Okay.
I'm holding back tears. I'm like, maybe I'm not going to do this.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
Thank
So
you.
yes, so yeah, so praise God for that. That is awesome. That is awesome. So yeah, you're right. There's an alignment that is definitely going on, and I'm happy
Right.
about that. I'm very, very, very grateful.
Thank
Wow.
you.
Okay. So with that being said, I want to encourage everybody to, if you're in the Raleigh, Durham area, go ahead and check that show out on Mondays at 8, you said?
At 7
Okay.
p.m.
And
Monday, 7 to
oh,
8.
7. Okay, 7 to 8. And if you're not, like I said, get in contact with Dr. Renee so you can get the live stream, so you can know exactly what's going on and get these gems that she's going to be dropping. There's no excuse
Yeah.
now. If we didn't know before, now we know that there's ways to know, right? I also want to let everybody here with Dreams Global. Dreams has started what we call Dreams Divine Dating, or better and affectionately known as Dating in 3D. And it's so exciting. I've been topics since I was young. Like anybody knows me, we talk about all the time. In and out, beautiful, wonderful young ladies who literally have taken the intention of making sure they're over their own discouragement, that they are fulfilling the dreams God has given them so that they can be and do what they need to do and then successfully date and meet the dream men that they know they're meant to be with. And that's the 3D process. I believe you have to get over the discouragement of a past relationship, of a past life
Mm-hmm.
experience, of just
Mm-hmm.
any discouragement you have. Once you can
Mm-hmm.
do that, you can do it by actually bringing out of you the gifts God put inside of you. When you sit
Mm-hmm.
on a gift, it literally can help you become depressed. I know that sounds extreme, but you're sitting on it and you know you're supposed to do it. And the more you don't do it, the worse you feel, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's get it out. So overcome that discouragement by fulfilling that dream. And when you do it, you're walking in your purpose, doing the work on you,
Yeah.
then you can intentionally and successfully date. And I promise you, these ladies, they bless me because this was crazy. You have to understand my story. So how in the world could I do this?
Right,
but
right, right.
but that's exactly why I do it, because I wasn't supposed to.
Mhm.
The enemy wants to use bad things to make things bad, but God uses those bad things and turns them around for good. So no matter what situation you've been in, you can come out of it. You can encourage somebody else. There's a silver lining on purpose. Don't let
Yes.
anything you've been through shame you, keep
Mm-hmm.
you there. Don't be down. Use the dreams of God, the passions He give you to do what you've been called to do. It makes you whole. It fulfills you. And when you're fulfilled, you're ready. Oh my goodness, to be
Mm-hmm.
able to connect. And so, if anybody out there, and we're going to be starting a cohort at the end of this month, a new one. This will be our third cohort. Sorry, I kept everything a secret before, you guys. But we have gotten some testimonies. We have gotten some wonderful connections, literally, and dreams popping out. So, yes, if that interests you, the 3D process, go ahead and contact me. At on my website, there is a tab that says Dating in 3D. At the bottom, just go ahead and put your information in. I'll contact you and give you more information. I'm excited about it. I really am excited about it. So you're going to be getting information from Dr. Renee on with DR, learning how to do the work with and inside of you. Okay. And as you're getting that, if you feel like, okay, as I'm doing this work, I feel like there's some dreams I want and I want to begin to date, let's go, because I'm ready to help you. I can't wait till these ladies get on here and share their stories and their connections that they have made. Good stuff. Tabitha Rucker says, yes, I am
Yes.
excited. I am excited. I am excited. And
Congratulations.
thank you. It's a wonderful thing, and it's purposeful. It's purposeful.
Mm-hmm.
No longer do we need to be discouraged to stay there, not to live our dreams, or to intentionally and successfully date. So let's do this. I have had a great time. Oh my gosh. I'm learning so much all the time with you. Like, we've been up for hours before talking
Oh
about
yeah.
stuff, but it's
Oh
just
yeah.
it's a
I
beautiful
know. I know. It's this was amazing. I'm just so excited, and I can feel your energy. I'm loving the
Yes.
energy that you're giving. I'm loving your excitement. I see your liberation. You
Yes.
inspire me. You inspire me to want to be better. You want to do better. And
Wow.
I'm so happy for you. And then to know that you're going to be blessing other women. I
Yeah.
remember Sharonda going to a seminar that you had, goodness, over 10 years ago. So, for everybody who don't know, this is not Sharonda's first rendezvous on Facebook. This is something that she has naturally done for years. She is you now, but I was inspired and blessed many years ago in that formal setting, and then of
Wow.
course being able to have those
Mm.
friendship conversations and laugh and cry.
Yeah.
It's
Oh
I'm just
yeah.
so happy for you, my
Oh
sister. I'm
yeah.
just so happy for you, and just continue to be liberated. It feels good from inside out.
Yay! Awesome. Well, to God be the glory. I'm so excited about that. Good gracious. I'm so excited. I'm excited about your radio show. I'm excited about your career. I'm just excited about you because you're phenomenal. And I do want to point out the Tabitha record. She says intentionality is key. And yes, when you think, we can go so far into that. The intentionality is, I used to say it like this, it's the intentionality for me. You know what I mean? Let's not play the game anymore. We are worthy. And you said that earlier. So yeah, let's
Yes.
do this thing right. But
Yes.
so we
Yes.
can't let this be our last time. We have definite other things we have to do together. I'm supporting and rooting you on. We're cheering you on. Please reach out to Dr. Renee here on Facebook. If there's any other way you want people to contact you, please share it with them so they can
Please
contact you.
go to WCOM 103.5. If you type in WCOM 103.5 and go
Mm-hmm.
click on the link for WCOM 103.5, and you can reach me there.
Okay.
Also, you'll see there's a phone line where folks can call in studio line. Folks can call into. I'm also on Facebook. It's Renee Evans on
Mm-hmm.
Facebook. It's a ton of us, but it's the Renee Evans with the picture of the trees. Those are the mountains of North Carolina, everybody. So they maybe think of black trees. Those are mountains.
Okay. That's awesome. Awesome. Yes, please reach out to her. And yes. So we did get, even though we shouted out Appalachian and Go Apps, we definitely did go to the same college, you guys. So if you didn't know that, that's why we're so hyped about the
Yes,
Black Girl, the ASU, the Appalachian State. So I am so grateful to still be in contact and in connection with you. And
please, please.
thank you for your time and for your knowledge and your willingness to share. Listen, anybody out there, if you are feeling discouraged, you're not alone. Discouragement happens to us all for different reasons, but it doesn't matter. You don't have to stay. You don't have to stay there. You don't have to stay discouraged. Let's be encouraged. That means let's put some courage on the inside of us to say we have things to do and we're going to do them. We're going to seek the help, and now we have resources to make it happen. Okay. For my ladies who are interested in the dating, I want you to know somebody's dreaming of you right now. So let's get to a place where we can help them fulfill that dream. I'm grateful so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Renee. And we look forward to your show. Thank you. Thank you for everybody. Erica says she loves it. Awesome. Awesome. We love you. And for anybody else that catches the replay, just go ahead and say replay, where you're from. Let us know you're here. Show us some love. We want to make sure that we're showing all the love that we can so that you can be the exact person you've been called to be. All right. I'm going to let you go. I promise. Thank you. Everybody enjoy your night. Have a wonderful weekend. We look forward to seeing, talking, connecting. And Tabitha says, love you, Renee.
Love you, Tabby. Thank you so much. I've got to have you on the show. So we're going to do a reverse. We'll do a reverse.
Let's go. I love it. She's from Fort Mill, South Carolina, and she'll be watching again. Woo-hoo. All right, excellent. And I look forward to that.
Be good, everybody.
Okay. Bye-bye. Good night. All right, bye-bye.